Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. I feel like I'm Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, but for football Perna. And not just because today is Groundhog Day. Winter 2022, the Broncos fire their head coach, hire an offensive guru to fix their team and trade their first-round draft picks for a huge acquisition. Tom Brady retires on February 1st, and Aaron Rodgers trade rumors circulate. Winter of 2023, the Broncos fire their head coach, hire an offensive guru to fix their team by trading a first-round draft pick. Tom Brady retires on February 1st again, and Aaron Rodgers trade rumors circulate. That's weird, right? Did the simulation break? If we do this again in 2024, I will quit football YouTube. Today, though, I do want to discuss how Tom Brady's retirement shakes up the quarterback free agency possibilities. Does Derek Carr still love Josh?
No, I love Josh. I love the Carr. I love our coaches.
I don't think so. And I've got a little more on Sean Payton to Denver. And how retired is Tom Brady?
I'd say the chance of departure is 80%.
That's right. Whew. That's good sports. Please, if you like football on YouTube, subscribe here. My friends over at Underdog have higher or lower options for Tom Brady's number of days retired. Not sure if that's real, but it's hilarious. Today's show is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. And if you want to test your skills against me in weekly fantasy leagues, download the Underdog app and go to UnderdogFantasy.com and use my code That'sGood. Now, there is a link below for the final NFL leagues of this season. They are very small, 3-person drafts for obvious reasons. You can also enter the Big Game Contest. It's just a $5 entry with $500,000 in prizes, with $50,000 going to first place. And if you want to use your brain for the pick'em games and live in one of the qualifying states, you can win up to 20 times your money. Build a pick'em entry with 2 to 5 players and guess higher or lower in stat totals for the week. Will Mahomes be higher or lower than a half of an interception? Travis Kelce higher or lower than 78.5 receiving yards? Use my code That'sGood in the link below, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Now, some out there are skeptical that one Sean Payton can help Russell Wilson get back to form. Consider me someone who is not skeptical but does have some reservations. And it has nothing to do with Sean Payton's ability as a head coach and more to do with how Russell Wilson tries to play the quarterback position, even though he can no longer outrun most defenders. If Russ doesn't play better this season, then we know. We know what the problem is, and that's honestly, as a Broncos fan, a relief. But let's take a look at some of the people who actually love this move for the Denver Broncos and for Russell Wilson. 1, Emmanuel Sanders, who played for both Sean Payton and Peyton Manning. So technically, he is an expert on Paytons. Chad Johnson loves this move and told ESPN to basically fuck off. RG3 likes this move. Mark Ingram kept it real on Kay Adams' show about this move.
You've seen the Jameis, you've seen, Taysom. You've seen several other quarterbacks that he's kind of took under his wing and just, made them successful, made them confident in their abilities, and went out there and made winners out of them.
There's no arguing that Sean Payton has brought some much-needed positive energy to current Broncos players as well. The people who are most vocally shitting on this hiring are the most annoying of Chiefs fans. How sad of a football fan do you have to be to have your team preparing for the Super Bowl, but still feel threatened enough to preemptively shit on a division rival you haven't lost to in 7 years? Who does that? In an unrelated note, please do not go back and look at any videos I made between 2013 and 2015. Now, I'm not going to do a full-on Tom Brady tribute for his retirement. Big surprise, right? But here's his announcement.
Won't be long-winded.
I will say these three things about Tom Brady that genuinely impress me, okay? And then I'll continue to roast him. First, his longevity in the game and his commitment to his body was unparalleled. That motherfucker didn't eat a tomato for 20 years because he thought it made him better. I respect that. Second, like all great players, he got better when the game was on the line. Third, he never took max money and always gave his team room to work with in the salary cap to keep his team competitive. Respect. That said, I am thrilled he is gone. I do not appreciate any of his accomplishments. I never enjoyed watching him play. And the fact that I never have to watch him throw a football in an NFL game again is the greatest gift I have received since my child was born. And I want to see every single one of his dumbass records broken by other QBs. Okay, to be a good friend to Tom, I wanted to suggest to him some things he can finally do in retirement. 7 things that he can do, especially as a bachelor. Number 7, buy Patriots tickets, sit right behind the Patriots bench, and taunt Bill Belichick all game long. Miss me yet, Bill, you son of a bitch! 6, drink a margarita that has not had all of the sugar removed from it. Number 5, join Robert Kraft on one of his couples massages. 4, have a 5-way with the women from the 80 for Brady movie.
Well, I have a 20 in my strap-on.
That's a fanny pack.
If you wear it like this, it's a strap-on.
Wow.
Oh, Tommy does like cougars. It's the only reason he made that movie. 3, hunt actual cougars with Derek Wolfe in exchange for the promise that Derek Wolfe does not eat his children. And Wolfe does not care how old they get, Tom. 2, farm mushrooms with superior quarterback Jake Plummer, who was 3-0 against Tom Brady in his career. And number 1, go to Thailand with his former backup QB, Cliff Kingsbury, and ask Cliff to pick up the bill since he's still getting paid. Now let's take a look at Tom Brady's illustrious career by the numbers. Tom Brady was in the NFL for 23 years, but wasn't good enough to start as a rookie. Just like every other quarterback in NFL history, Tom Brady was never able to win 8 Super Bowls. Peyton Manning once threw 55 touchdown passes in a single season. Tom Brady could only muster 50. He was 0-3 in games against Jake Plummer. Wait, did I already say that? He trails only Drew Brees and Peyton Manning for most passing yards in a season. Third best is pretty good, Tom. His 3 league MVPs trail quarterbacks Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers, who have 5 and 4. Unlike John Elway, Jim Kelly, and Nick Foles, Tom Brady never caught a pass in the Super Bowl. He's the only QB in NFL history to lose to the Giants in the Super Bowl twice. Tom Brady willingly helped this man get a Super Bowl ring.
I'm getting fafa, no Google Gaga, Omega Safa. Getting all the spinach, call it papa.
I would like to congratulate Antonio Brown on having the exact same vocabulary skills as my 2.5-year-old daughter. Those are all of Brady's accomplishments that I found noteworthy. Now, I do think this Brady retirement, should it stick, will trigger a complete and total rebuild for the Buccaneers, who are currently $55 million over the cap. Brady's departure will free up about $23 million, but that's still quite a bit of money they need to shed. I would expect them to start dealing players. If I'm a team that needs offensive line help, I'm definitely calling to offer a pick for Shaq Mason. I think there's also a chance they shed Shaq Barrett. Come on home, Shaq. Come on home. And even Mike Evans, the best receiver in Buccaneers history. Then, of course, you have to wonder how the Bucs address a now glaring need at the QB position. And while it would be hilarious to see Jimmy Garoppolo succeed Tom Brady as a Buc, I don't think Mr. G wants anything to do with the bottoming out we're about to see in Tampa. The Bucs drafted Kyle Trask in the 2nd round of the 2021 draft, and he's currently the only quarterback under contract for the team. There's really no indication, though, at this point that Trask is a starting caliber quarterback, as he's only attempted 9 passes in his 2-year career, completing just 3 of them. I would expect Tampa to ride these choppy waters with a veteran bridge QB, someone like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, or Jacoby Brissett. Tampa currently owns the 19th pick in the draft, which isn't anywhere close enough to grab one of the top 3 QBs, whether that's Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, or Will Levis. But it might be good enough to take Anthony Richardson, who played at Florida after Kyle Trask, but he's definitely a project, to say the least. Honestly, the Lions could actually snake him a pick earlier since they have 2 first-rounders. Oh shit, yes, Detroit, take Richardson. Add him as a weapon to that offense. Tom Brady would have been a highly sought after free agent had he returned. The Jets, Dolphins, Raiders, and yes, 49ers would have been interested. His retirement increases the value for Aaron Rodgers if he comes back and if Green Bay decides to trade him, but more realistically, it increases the value for just Jimmy Garoppolo and Derek Carr. Kyle Shanahan confirmed he doesn't see any scenario where Jimmy G will be back in San Francisco.
Jimmy being back, and if so, what would that look like?
No, I don't see any scenario of that.
I still think the Miami Dolphins need a bona fide backup for the frequently injured Tua. Tua did just clear concussion protocol, but if you think taking 38 days to clear concussion protocol is a positive thing, then you are most likely a science denier. Tua's last concussion lasted almost as long as Tom Brady's first retirement. For the Dolphins, Teddy Bridgewater is a free agent and he's way too injury prone himself to play behind Tua. Jimmy Garoppolo kind of has the same problem, and Derek Carr is not going to go to a team where he's not the starter. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, I make a strong play for Jacoby Brissett, where he spent the 2021 season. He is very solid, won't threaten Tua as the starter, and most importantly is durable. Also, he was smart enough to get the football to the Browns' best receiver in Amari Cooper, something Watson struggled to do as he worked back in. Cooper had 400-yard days with Jacoby Brissett slinging, and 7 of his 9 TDs on the season. Jacoby can do the same with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in a pinch, or an extended pinch in Miami. All the big QB moves, though, come down to just 3 teams: the Jets, the Raiders, and the Packers, and they're pretty much all linked. The Texans, the Colts, and even the Raiders could be in position to draft their next QB. Will Levis or CJ Stroud could be there for the Raiders at pick 7, or they could move up a couple to get him. Now, I do think the Packers are more than ready to move on from QB Aaron Rodgers. We just saw what happened to Green Bay when Rodgers could no longer play at a godlike level. Speaking of God, I personally think that a Christian God left his body the second he took ayahuasca. Now they have to decide if they really believe they can win a Super Bowl in 2023 with Rodgers versus trading him now while they can get good compensation for him and continue to build for the future. This is the QB power rankings for the guys who could trade teams. Aaron Rodgers up top at 1, alone. Then you've got Derek Carr and Jimmy G in tier 2, and then literally everyone else. The Raiders should be calling the Jets to see what they'd pay for Derek Carr before Rodgers makes a decision, but the Raiders won't allow Carr to talk to possible trade partners, and with his no trade clause, he does have to approve a trade. In other words, I have no clue what the fuck the Raiders' plan is, as I think they were banking on Tom Brady coming back. The Jets make the most sense for Carr. They should have allowed Carr to talk to the Jets because if he gets hurt at the Pro Bowl, his contract is fully guaranteed. So there's a thought now that they could make a trade with the Jets happen before Sunday when the Pro Bowl goes down. Now the Saints also make sense for Derek Carr, but they do not have a first rounder to trade to acquire him. It's the Jets for Derek Carr unless Aaron Rodgers cock blocks him or sticks a banana in the tailpipe. If they don't release Carr right after the Super Bowl, the Raiders owe him $40.4 million. The other idea, though, is Aaron Rodgers to the Raiders. The only way the Raiders can be in play for Rodgers, though, is to trade Carr, get extra picks, and then use those picks to acquire Rodgers. Rodgers and Josh McDaniels. What could go wrong with those two personalities? In my opinion, Derek Carr and Jimmy G offer the exact same thing on the football field as a quarterback, but Jimmy G has a huge advantage in that he can be had without a team giving up any draft capital at the moment. So, if Rodgers stays in Green Bay, why would the Jets pay out the ass for a Derek Carr when they could have this hunk of a beef stick for far less? Oh, God, Jimmy. Bend me over, flip me upside down, and eat through me. Now, I see Derek Carr ending up in New Orleans after the Raiders release him, or maybe even Washington. I think Tampa is just going to have to take it on the chin this season. They went all in for a Super Bowl, got one, and now they have to pay the piper. The dark horse candidate for Derek Carr, though, is the Carolina Panthers. Him, Frank Reich, their love of Jesus makes a lot of sense. but that's only if Carolina decides they can't draft their next QB. If Rodgers is traded to the Jets, then give me Jimmy G to the Raiders, and Derek Carr as a free agent signs with the Green Bay Packers. Sorry, Jordan Love. So actually, the QB tier is Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy G, then Derek Carr. Unless Derek Carr becomes a free agent, then him and Jimmy G will be on even playing field. It's confusing. A lot's got to happen, but that's how I think it'll shake out. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please, again, subscribe here on YouTube. And, dear God, give me a follow on Twitter at Brandon Perna. It doesn't mean anything, but I would appreciate it.